What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So Outriders has been out for almost 24 hours. I've played 16 of those 24 hours, and like many of you, I'm sure I'm still busy plugging away at the story of the game. I haven't finished it yet. I would say I'm probably about halfway, but I thought it would be interesting to reflect on these first 24 hours of Outriders being out, discuss some positive highlights, discuss some, negative lowlights, unfortunately, and just basically what I think about the game so far. So no, it's not a review, and I'll definitely not be putting on any spoilers. The footage that you'll see in the background playing will be from literally just an hour to 2 hours after the demo. So nothing, too far down the line. Also, no cutscenes or anything like that. However, if you don't want to be spoiled for something that's directly after the demo, then obviously consider this your spoiler warning, and let's go. So we'll start off with the positives, the highlights, because overall I do want the message or the tone of this clip to be positive. And so firstly, I would say that just the presence and the support of People Can Fly is definitely a highlight for me. Again, when we look at some of the negative things that happen, some of the lowlights, it's important to acknowledge the fact that People Can Fly have been working since this game launched, well, since before this game launched, to try and correct the myriad of issues that have come up, unfortunately, which is normal with any new game that's coming out. But more than that, also, it's just the fact that the things which they said that they would change or address with the full release of the game was done. So two good examples of that, actually both involving cutscenes or the camera or something like that, is that first of all you had the shaky camera situation, which was addressed with a slider that you can choose a camera smoothing in the options button, which basically takes care of that. Secondly, 30 frames per second cutscenes that can go all the way up to 120 frames now. So it really does show that People Can Fly. They are doing the things that they said they were going to do. And again, like I said, when this game launched and things started going wrong, like some of the things we're going to talk about just now, they were on Twitter, they were responding to people, they were putting out alerts, they were putting out statuses saying, we're looking at this, we found a solution, this is being implemented, blah, 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 blah. So again, it just shows a very present, a very supportive studio as this game launched. And I know that there'll be people saying, yeah, but every studio does this. And of course they're going to do that because they want to protect their investment. No, not every studio does this. Avengers is a good example that comes to mind, which, the support from the studio and basically, the issues that were, present in that game weren't addressed for fucking weeks. And we literally saw last night, as this game was going through some problems, how they were working on, in the background to try and get it right. So that's definitely a highlight for me. That's definitely a positive thing, which needs to be acknowledged and which we should be thankful for. The second thing is more like a game detail, if I can put it that way, and that is that after having played the game further than the demo right now, it really is clear to me that build diversity really is a thing, and character choice and the way that you play that character really does make a difference. And without getting into too much detail about this, basically what I mean is that if you take, for instance, the Trickster as an example, can you play the Trickster like any of the other three characters and basically stand in the back with a sniper rifle, for instance, and pick away at your enemies? Yes, you can absolutely do that, and you'll see in some of this footage here that that's the very thing that I'm doing. But once you start playing to the strengths of the particular character that you chose, and in the case of the Trickster's innate healing is based on killing enemies close by. So therefore, you then start thinking, okay, but that that favors more like a shotgun, assault rifle, submachine gun, close-up kind of build. And then once you start gearing your head towards that way and playing that way, then the power fantasy of your character is obviously pushed up, and because you actually feel far more powerful, and you're able to pull off much more dramatic, how can I say, kills, and just in general, you just feel more powerful because you're playing to the strength of your character. Now, in the demo, this wasn't 100% visible because of the fact that we could only go up to world difficulty 5, and because the content wasn't that difficult. So you could play each character each way you want. But having now played further than just, world level 5, world tier 5, you really start, the game starts kicking your ass, and you really start realizing that it is important that at the very least you should consider the way which your character, its strengths are built around, like the trickster situation that I made right now, or like, for instance, in the case of a technomancer, which heals from a little bit from all damage caused, which then opens up the opportunity to maybe be something that, shoots more from the back or something like that. So I really do like this diversity. I really do like this, choice matters. Something that was, concerning to me is that when we get towards the end game, one character could basically do all 4 things and just be a master of everything. And it really does seem that there are certain roles in this game which are just suited better for certain characters, and that's cool. I'm highly appreciative of that. Maybe some other people realized this fact long ago already, but for me that was always a concern, that it would kind of all just melt together, at high level. And even though I'm not obviously max level yet, it definitely doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So that's definitely a positive. Now, if we just change gears and we move over to, unfortunately, some of the lowlights, the negatives. The first thing would have to be the stability. Now, the stability comes from 2 different angles. First of all, just general launch stability, which is something that every studio falters under. I have seen this happen 1,000 times. Well, maybe 1,000 is a lot, but I've seen this happen a lot of times, and we will still see this happen a lot of times. Studios, more often than not, misjudge the amount of uptick, the amount of people that will launch into the game. And this game in particular also had a Game Pass option that was available. So there was just a lot of traffic last night when it launched for me in Europe. It launched at 6 o'clock in the evening, and it was good for about an hour, and then started seeing a lot of crashes, a lot of disconnections, and that sort of thing. So that's unfortunate, and I'm not going to say that they couldn't have planned it better, that they couldn't have worked around it. Maybe they could have, but what was important is that while this was happening, they were tweeting and they were working on it, and even identified some of the issues along the way and basically addressed this. So progressively, I played until the wee morning hours. It progressively got better and better and better, to the point where it wasn't happening anymore. And every game that I've played so far this morning, which was also a bunch of hours, it hasn't happened again. So yes, there's probably a bunch of people that ended up skipping the game now, or disconnecting and saying, what, fuck it, I'm going to go to bed, I'm not going to play anything like that. And that probably also alleviated some of the strain on the back end. But the bottom line is, once again, there was support from the studio side, and they were looking at sort of sorting this problem out. So I know that I'm classifying this as a low light, but it's got a positive spin to it. The other stability problem is just generally, I have had a couple of crashes to desktop, unfortunately. I had one, just shortly before starting to record this clip, and that's also honestly to be expected. The game is very generous with its checkpoint system, so not once have I lost more than, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes, even if it's that much. I think 5 is basically the top end of progress that I might have lost, with something like that. So I understand that it can probably be frustrating for some people, that maybe, something weird can happen, right? So imagine there's an item that drops on the ground, and before you pick it up, then it crashes and maybe you don't get that item. Yeah, I know that sucks. But again, we will most likely see patches in the next couple of days, or, even if I say weeks and push it out that far, that will most likely iron out a lot of these issues and, hopefully deal with that. The second problem or low light for me is that the demo, of course, ran on DirectX 11, and when the full game came out now, there was an option to go to DirectX 12. Now, whether you choose DirectX 11 or 12, it defaults to 12. There's no way for you to actually scale down to 11. And unfortunately, on my system, and clearly for a bunch of other people, as is evident by Reddit and Twitter and all of that, there is this stuttering issue that is not always there, but is, and it's not always the same for everybody. Like for me, it is not play limiting. It's noticeable. You might have seen it a bunch of times in this clip now already, when you have slight hitching as I turn around, or as I use a specific ability, or as an enemy comes on screen, and it's ever present. It's always there. So it is for me a bit of a problem. Like I said, not a showstopper, but unfortunately there are some people that have on Reddit mentioned that this makes the game unplayable for them. And I do believe that there's also different severities of this. Like I said, in my case, I don't think it's that bad, but I do understand that some people are having a harder issue with it. There's been some suggested fixes for it, from different console commands, disabling the Steam overlay, disabling gamepad support in your game and all of that. But a lot of the stuff, I think the feedback from that has been kind of anecdotal, and I think in general this problem really does still persist. I can say that since I've been playing this morning, does it feel like it stutters less? It kind of does. But again, like I said, it's not by any measure that I can say it's definitely less or it's definitely gone, because it is still there. And in terms of, how it was compared to last night, it's difficult for me to gauge. But again, People Can Fly have acknowledged that this is a problem that they are looking into, fixing and addressing, and it's, a high priority for them right now. So again, I feel like, it, along with all of the other open issues like the crossplay problems that have been happening, and unfortunately another round of the inventory wipe bug, which we saw that was in a demo that they ended up correcting, has also been present for some people. So yes, there are unfortunately some things which are, still in the wild and are still causing issues, but it is being looked at by the studio, and the only thing we can do is basically allow them to patch it and figure out what the problem is, and hopefully sort it out for us. That's basically it in terms of, my highlights and lowlights. Like I said, there's still a long way for me to go to even still get to max level. I'm at level 27 right now. And I'm really excited to go back and play again. I actually want to finish this and get back into it. But just in general, I think, considering the things which have gone wrong and the difficulties that happen and so on, I'm happy with the product that I got in the end, and I'm really enjoying the game. It's this thing where when it hits hard, and I look at my watch and I see, okay, cool, and then suddenly I look and 2 hours have passed. And to me, that is obviously the indication, the true indication of a great game is something that you can just lose yourself in terms of time. I really like the fact that you have all these different biomes, and the game is not just always like in the jungle, and not just always like in this broken down city kind of environment. And once you start getting to the later levels and you see some more of the mods, and you see some more of the powers which we couldn't get in the demo, it really just gels. It really just works. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm like I said, I'm awaiting the patch to fix some of the issues. I really would like the stuttering issue gone. It is it's obviously detracting from the quality of the game, so I mean, let's be honest about that. But anyway, that's it for this. I hope you guys are enjoying the game if you're playing it, and definitely once I get to a point where I feel like, well, obviously I've finished the single player and we can start discussing builds, then please go ahead and come check out the channel, because definitely we'll be looking at some different viable expedition end game builds and that sort of thing. Please go ahead and comment, and like down below. Let me know what you think of the game. Let me know how it's been going for you. I'm sure some people are having a good old time with not experiencing any of the issues. And unfortunately, some people are probably really stuck and not able to play the game at all, which, sucks and is terrible. If you really enjoyed the clip and content like this, please go ahead and consider to subscribe. It really does help the channel and helps me grow. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and the growth has been phenomenal. The support has been great. I'm really, really humbled by the great comments and the stuff that I've gotten in the last couple of weeks, and it really does make it worth it to make this sort of content. So just thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of Easter weekend with your families. Take care of yourself. Have a great morning, have a great afternoon, have a great evening wherever you are, and until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.